Welcome back to a year of miracles with Inner Bloom. We are on lesson 25. The idea for today is I do not know what anything is for. Now, this follows up on some things that we've already covered, and that is that we don't know the meaning for the things we see or the meaning of our thoughts. We've been going over seeing a meaningless world. My thoughts have no meaning, the things I see have no meaning. And so because we don't know yet the true meaning behind the meaninglessness that we see, we don't actually know the purpose of anything. We think we know the purpose, but we don't actually know the purpose. Everything is for your own best interest in truth. We don't see everything that way. We don't see as everything being for us, but you probably have heard that statement before. Everything is for you. Everything is for you. Well, that's what this lesson is saying. This lesson is saying you don't actually know what anything is for because behind the illusions, behind the false meanings that we give things, in truth, everything is for our best interest. Everything is for us. This lesson and the understanding of this leads to our goals, the goals that we thought we had, outcomes that we discussed in yesterday's lessons. Understanding this will actually unify our goals and see the true goals and see the true meaning and purpose in things. We get to start seeing through our ego goals to our true goals and true desires and true outcomes. I have a highlighted section again that I want to read from you from the actual Course in Miracles. This is on paragraph 3. Another way of describing the goals you now perceive is to say that they are all concerned with personal interests. Since you have no personal interests, your goals are really concerned with nothing. In cherishing them, therefore, you have no goals at all, and thus you do not know what anything is for. Basically, what that is saying, personal interest means the ego interest. And because the ego isn't real, because the ego doesn't actually, it's a false form of identity, it's a false way of seeing the world. Its goals, its fake false goals are not real goals. And because your goals are based on your personal ego interests, they are not real. And that is why you don't know what things are for, because you're perceiving things through the lens of the goals that you have, through the lens of what they can do for you, through the lens of your reaction to them. An example given by the text is you think when you look at a telephone, you think the telephone is for picking it up and calling someone who is not here. And while that logically seems true, when you go deeper, you do not understand why you actually want to call that person. You don't understand why you would actually need to use the phone or why you actually want to use a phone to contact that person, to reach that person. There is a deeper meaning there. There is a deeper purpose. And therefore, that telephone itself isn't just a telephone for reaching another person. There is a deeper purpose and a deeper meaning that is always in your best interest to that seemingly meaningless object. So again, we get to give up our personal goals and see the true meaning behind things, see the true goals that are available to us, and see how everything truly is for us. So the way that we apply this is we're going to repeat the idea, I do not know what anything is for. And then we're going to glance about us like we've been doing in other exercises, not necessarily intentionally leaving anything out, not trying to include everything, not discriminating, and not making a difference between an inanimate object or a person or an animal. So we're going to say, I do not know what this or that blank is for. I do not know what this phone is for. I do not know what that window is for, etc. Do it slowly. Hold the object that your eyes fall upon in your gaze while you say it. Don't go too quickly. So I do not know what that glass is for. I do not know what that linen curtain is for, etc. And do this about 6 times. Don't worry too much about like I have to do this 6 times. I failed if I didn't do it 6 times. That's just kind of like a guide. We're doing it more than the 1 or 2 times. So do about 6 times. If you do a little bit less, that's fine. And then spend about 2 minutes, if possible, doing the exercise. Sammy?
And it's so funny. I was just about to ask you for a deeper meaning. And it's so funny how I just witnessed my ego. But why don't we want to know what the phone is for? But why? But why? And then I was going to ask you, can you explain more about why we don't know what the phone is for and what the real purpose is? But that's the ego trying to make sense of it. And a reminder, these lessons aren't for us to make sense of it. We're just giving up the idea that we don't know what it's for, so that higher mind can drop into our consciousness, the revealing of it over time and the unfolding of it over time, right? And so we've got to admire and love our seeking machines. It's like, why? Yeah, that was so interesting. I literally was just about to ask you to dive deeper on that, but that's not the point of the exercise. And so I'm so glad that I was able to share that, because if I did that, then it's likely that so many other people would do it. Again, like Corina said, the ego does not like it when things don't mean anything, because like all I can picture in those circumstances is like the kid hanging on to the mum or dad's leg, like not wanting to let go, right? But you have to let go, because we only understand it based on our finite mind, but there is an infinite intelligence beyond the finite mind that knows much more of the puzzle than we can begin to ever comprehend, right? So you have to understand, when you think you know all the meaning to what is in front of you, as I use this analogy all the time, it's like a sugar cube inside of a football stadium. You're that sugar cube. You cannot possibly begin to understand. You're only seeing one piece of the puzzle compared to the whole puzzle piece. And so we spend our whole lives giving so much power to this sugar cube or this puzzle piece, when there's a whole picture, a whole puzzle that's already created, that we need to lean back and trust and surrender into. And like I said, the ego does not like that, because it focuses on what it can see and what it can control. And we have to invite ourselves to surrender, to be able to see. It's like catchphrase. I don't know if you have catchphrase. Do you have catchphrase,
No,
Corina?
I don't
Have
know.
you
I've
heard of it?
never.
So it's like catchphrase is like a puzzle, but it's
Mhm,
covered,
mhm.
and you reveal a puzzle piece at a time, and then you guess the picture, right? And it's having faith and knowing that everything you want is behind that, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean it isn't there, right? And stop trying to piece all the pieces together with your finite mind. Which again, like, you can even see it as fearful, or you can see it as liberating. I choose to see it as liberating. It's so exciting. It's so exciting that I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about how I'm going to get my desires, because my limited perspective, my puny perspective, cannot understand it in its entirety. So don't get me wrong, this hasn't always been my perspective. I've had to work through all of the fear, right? I'm not saying that I've avoided fear. I've had to face the fear. But as a result of facing the fear, through that is liberation. And then it's me in this moment allowing myself to enjoy the experience of it, the unfolding of it, knowing that everything that is happening in my reality is happening for me. And I say that all the time. Everything is always happening for you. Even the things that our ego is like, this is shit. No, it's not happening for me. It is, I promise you. And I know this is contradicting to this shitty thing. I know this is contradicting to the shitty things that have happened in people's life. I've been there, and Karina has too. We have all been through shitty things. However, has that shitty thing not made you the person that you are today? Right? Had I not been through the shitty things that I've been through, I would not have created Inner Blue. Oh, it's getting me emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at the time, Sammy hated aspects of her life, moments of her life that she was going through. They were hard, they were horrible. And I know the people listening to this have felt, or right now are feeling the same things. But I promise you, there is rhyme and reason. There's rhyme and reason behind it. And you just have to keep showing up and working through it, because Inner Bloom has brought thousands of women together that, had I not been through what I'd been through, I might not have created something out of pure passion and purpose of wanting to help people because of what I had been through, right? And so we have to trust the process. We have to trust the process. Same way the caterpillar has to trust the process to become a butterfly, right? Same way the flower has to trust being buried in the deeps of the dark soil to then bloom into the beautiful flower that it becomes. We have to trust in the unfolding and the perceived illusion of the becoming, right? It's just part of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I may have said this analogy on here before. I feel like I said it already before in one of the past lessons. So if I have, great. If I haven't, great. But I look at it like I know I have, but I look at it like, Google Earth or like Google Maps. So you're like the little guy that gets dropped on the screen on the street, and you can only see what's around you, and you can only see like the next street that's coming up. But you can't see from the top of the map, from the truth. And so, or from, the bigger picture, I would say, not truth, but like the bigger picture. And so if you just allowed yourself to be guided by like the Siri or the GPS person, whoever's like, turn right at X, turn left at the, um, even if it seems like it's going in the wrong direction, even if it doesn't make sense, why you're saying, oh, but I think in order to get here, I should turn right here. If you just trust where you're being led and be and understand that maybe you're not seeing the whole picture and you don't know the quickest or shortest route to get where you need to be, then you will always be led on the most direct path. It's when we allow our ego to get involved and go, no, I don't trust it. I don't think I should be turning left here. That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna go right. That we end up making it longer or more challenging or more hard.
That was such a divine analogy. I'm there going, it's like a sugar cube in a football stadium. because because I'm trying to emphasize the tiny peeny perspective, and then you just come in with this divine way of perceiving that. That was so genius. Literally, we're all trying to navigate our lives based on what we've known, but there's this higher power GPS that's saying go here, go here, go here, and we think we know better. That's such a divine analogy. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And another thing you said that I'm so glad you brought up, because I think it's an important thing with the Course in Miracles, or this version that we're doing, a year in miracles, is that there's going to be a lot that's being said here, especially, the way, what I'm breaking down the lessons in I'm breaking down and like picking out like, okay, this is really important, or maybe like adding my own little perception on certain things. But the way that I'm reading it is very much like to the book. And I love how Sammy comes in and then brings examples and brings it more, like gives it more of that tangible life. And I know that sometimes the way that that it's presented can be like, but that doesn't make sense. Like you said with the telephone, like give to explain why, how, like that doesn't make sense. And this is the book. Well, this isn't actually the full book. Hold on 1 second. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Well, you're all over the place. Okay, so this is my working copy from the 90s. That's how big it is. And these pages are like Bible pages. So that extra thin tissue paper like pages. That's how dense this book is for anybody who doesn't have it or has never picked it up. This is the new version. This is the version that there's like, my version has 3. This one has 5 books in it. So it's even that much more long and dense. So and the language in here is like way more hard, at least for me, very hard to grasp just the way that it's spoken. It's like not old English, it's not old English, but it's just very, it's not spoken in plain, easy to grasp English. It's like a cross between like trying to modernize, it's like not old like biblical, but like not modern, easy to grasp English at all if anybody's tried reading the book. So that's part of the reason why the workbook was added. Originally, it started with just the text, and you're welcome to read the text if any of you want to do that. Originally it started with just the text, and then later she channeled the workbook, and then later the other books, which is why there's more books added later and later. Things end up getting channeled more and more. But the workbook was actually, it's not about mentally understanding what's being said. It's not about mentally being able to understand the lessons. It's in the application of the lessons where the change and the shift happens. So the whole point of the exercises in the workbook, like Sammy said, isn't actually applying and doing the lessons. It's not about grasping mentally what's being said. You'll be able to see clearly if you apply the lessons and apply them the way that they're meant to be applied. That's the whole point of this, for you to see it for yourself, not to be like, well, I don't like, why doesn't the telephone mean that? Or like, it's not, we're removing the need to mentally grasp it so we can have the direct experience of it.
Thank you for that. That just shows to show you as well the, again, um, the denseness of the book. We're only literally just starting, right? So if you're feeling confused, lost, like what the fuck is going on, don't worry. Don't worry. Just honestly allow yourself to enjoy the experience, right? Enjoy the experience. And this is why we're trying to keep it lighthearted and fun, because it doesn't have to be so serious. All we're trying to do is open your mind up to a new way of being.
And if it helps, the workbook's only this long. So we're not going through this whole thing, don't worry. Okay, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.